What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bone Apple Tea. I'm your host, Randy Baruso, and today I sit down with Dana ONeal. He is my acting mentor. He is also just a good friend of mine. He has a lot of knowledge and wisdom to offer to the listeners here, and that's why I wanted to have him on. We talk about manifesting and what that actually means, how people can go about it. What I think is great about this episode is that allows for discussion. So if you think that something is not true or whatever, or you don't believe what he believes, it's still a very interesting discussion mentally. And if you want to write in and give us your thoughts and opinions, that's going to be boneappleteausa@gmail.com. So feel free to write us, or you can comment on Instagram or send us a DM on Instagram. That's boneappletv at Instagram. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoy. It's good to have you on, man.
Oh, same here. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about this for a while. So
yeah, and for those that don't know, and I've mentioned you on the podcast a few times because you go by, at least when I refer to you, it's like my acting mentor, my friend, and it's exciting because I feel like we've been talking about trying to get something together for a while. And I know it's funny because you're always like, should I prepare something? And I'm like, no, I think just who you are is more than enough.
It's like acting improv.
Yeah, it's acting improv. That's right. But I also think you have a lot of really cool ideas when it comes to manifestation and affirmation and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot from you in that regard. So, I mean, how did you even come about with this whole, because have you always been a manifesting type person? Or?
Oh, no, not all my life, but majority of it. It is a major part of my life. I believe in it very, very strongly. I believe that's what makes me tick, why I am where I am at my age. And I believe I've been much more successful in my later years because of the manifestation. I think a lot of it stemmed from my major interest in near-death experiences, crop circles, all the things you really can't define in regular life. Knowing that us being here right now in this room, that this room really doesn't exist.
Ooh.
And that we are what we think. As an example, and sometimes we get mathematical clues or signs that things are working in the right direction. As an example, my son at 42 just had a heart attack. And I can say as a father, oh my God, his life has totally changed. He's going to lose his job or not going to be able to work. And he goes back to work tomorrow. Or I can say he has a stent in his heart now and he's going to move forward and he's got to get 2 more. And I think his longevity is better now than it was the day before he had the heart attack. But I do want to talk about my sister. My sister just had her, I've lost count, 4th or 5th heart attack caused by COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And she also had just this year a stroke, I think number 3 or 4.
Oh my god.
She has at least, I'm going to say at least, because again, I've lost count, like at least 11 to 14 stents in her heart. She needs 2 more. And she's in the hospital with COVID and she doesn't want to be there. And of course, when the family learned that of a woman who is 74, it's not good news.
Right.
I mean, she was literally coughing up blood.
Oh my god.
And she asked that we, family, friends, particularly at her church, to say a prayer for her, to do manifestation. Prayer and manifestation is very close to me. It's just, you have to realize, in essence, that they're both the same thing. Because your word has to be impeccable. The bottom line is she couldn't get a hold of her minister for 4 days, and she asked me to do that. And they got on the phone, and the bottom line is she's home.
Yeah.
Because the manifestation, even the doctors were surprised and shocked. And It seems like it was a lightning storm. When the COVID is gone, the fever is gone, the pneumonia is gone, and she obviously still needs to be quarantined, which she's going to do that at home. But the bottom line is, I really believe that the manifestation slash prayer made it so she could come home, made it so
Mm.
my son can work, make it so I can have this podcast. I mean, I have a stent in my heart as well, and I have a pacemaker and a sleep apnea machine, and I just this week I just had my pacemaker checked, and the guy turned it down. He says, "You may feel a little faint," and I said, "I think you better turn it back up." So, but what I'm saying is, we are what we think.
Mm.
Um, Going back to your original question, what started with this was the study of near-death experiences, and that's I got too many stories. There's no way that we could do this
That's fine.
all today,
Hey,
but we got.
I unloaded all the cameras, and I actually got a separate power pack battery for each of these, so they never run out of
Yeah.
battery. So we have as long as you're ready
Yeah.
to talk about it. So I'm good.
My mom is deceased. There's one time she came to Connecticut to visit me, and we went to Mystic Village. And this is not the first time I talked about NDE, near death experiences. And at the movie theater in Mystic, the very only time and first time I ever went to the movies there, my mother and I was walking in the Mystic, and the families were shopping, and she saw a movie advertised about near death experiences. And she wanted to go to that particular theater. She said, I need to go. I want to go. So we went and we enjoyed it. And that really, not necessarily say piqued my interest in the topic, but made it so my mind was much more open to it. And I know that she got out of it what she needed to do. And years later, we have a premiere at the same movie theater. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, for those that also, I guess I didn't mention this. He plays the father in my short film Tuesday, which I've talked a bit about on the show. But yeah, and we had that premiere that went really well. But yeah, so back to what started all this manifestation stuff. And you said it kind of came from near-death experiences. For those that don't know, do you want to talk about your near-death experience at all? Or?
I'm on this podcast. I'm not going to say that I had one or that I didn't have one.
Okay.
But I just want to because there's a lot of skepticism.
Okay.
And I want this to really to be open and acceptable. I guess that's the one. I guess that's what I want. But I was the president of IAN's International Association of Near-Death Studies here in Connecticut, and actually NDE, what we call a true near-death experience study with Dr. Moody at Hartford Hospital. So the origination of the study of NDE was here in Connecticut and at UConn. And that's a big topic. I was working, I'm going to say, in a place in Manchester a while ago, and I was reading a book called What Tom Sawyer Learned from Dying. And Tom Sawyer is not the character in a Huckleberry Finn type. But it's that was his real name. I think it was from New Mexico, and he was he was an atheist, first of all, and he was in his dooryard and working on his truck. He was underneath the truck, and the truck fell on top of him. And he had an NDE. He wrote a book about it. He's truly deceased now. It's been a while. But I was reading the book, and I was working in this place in Manchester, and I always went to lunch. It was a weekend gig because I worked in a law firm Monday through Friday, and I would just do this part-time job. And I always went to lunch at noon. And I think this is I'm trying to explain sort of a fate thing that happened to me. And I really wanted to go to lunch because I was really into a good part of the book that I was very much interested in. And that was actually the NDE experience itself when you leave the body. There's like 10 steps, and we can get into that later maybe. But anyway, something happened. I couldn't go at noon and 1 o'clock and 1:30. And so I didn't get to lunch till like like 1:45 this particular Saturday. And I always, on this particular, every other week, I would go to, there's a really lovely sushi place down the street. And I always had the specific table. And at that time, it was occupied. So I had to, this is a long story. I'll try to make it as short as I can. So I had to go to the sushi bar and sit down, and my favorite preparer of sushi was there. And there was one couple. I mean, the place was almost empty except for this one couple and my occupied table. And the woman said to her husband, "Hey, look, he's reading Tom's book." I mean, this is somebody from New Mexico. And she said, "By the way, tonight is an NDE meeting at UConn, and he's going to be a speaker." I said, "Yeah, are you kidding me?" You know. So and that was my first experience of an NDE meeting, and I've been now it's every second Monday of the month online,
right?
And I get to listen to. Bluntly, I am in a room or online with about 30 plus people who at one time in their life had been proven clinically dead. Because today you're hooked up to the monitors, and even women who were giving birth or you'd have an operation, simple procedure, and they flatline, and they come back to tell them the story. I mean, there's some amazing, absolutely stories. I'll give you a couple. One, a woman who you leave your body, and at Harvard Hospital, and she told the doctors everything that went on during her operation, what the conversations were. 2 doctors were gambling. Is she going to live? Is she not going to live? And I'll get $50. You know, she's named the people. And she said, "By the way, do you know that on top of the roof on like the 9th floor, I don't know how many floors there, that there's a red high heel in the gutter?" And there was.
What?
It was up there. I mean, there's been...
That's absurd, though. How did that's like a red high heel?
I mean, how in the world did it get there?
Yeah,
despite the topic of NDEs. But anyway, but that's in Dr. Moody's book. I believe that's where I read that. Okay, getting back in the vortex, that's how I got really started in an NDE. I grew up with death. My father died on my birthday. He was 29, accident. I've had 3 people murdered. My mother had 1 sister.
We should clarify, when you say I've had 3 people murdered, it makes it sound like you put a hit out on them.
No, I did not pay any money, no. I didn't. But
like 3 people in your family were murdered?
I have a cousin, he's deceased now. To make it long, I had a cousin that married a sailor, and she moved to Chicago with his family, and she walked into a 7-Eleven to get formula for her brand new baby, which is baby number 5, and she was shot between the eyes for a $20 bill. I mean,
oh my God! And
I also had this cousin that I'm referring to had 3 girls, 17, 18, and 19, and the 19-year-old got involved with a much older man and tried to break off the relationship. And the bottom line is he took a rifle after he got out of jail because he had not obeyed by the restrictions. And he shot her in the head with a rifle. And the bullet went through her head and killed her sister as well.
Oh, Jesus.
But
that is some gruesome shit.
I don't know why I brought that up.
But yeah, I mean, like,
but on the topic of death, my mother had 1 sister and 10 brothers, and every one of them died.
Big family.
Normally in January, and they all died of heart issues. And I remember living in a big house that my father had built, and family would come from everywhere. This is in Maine. And I usually ended up sleeping on the sofa next to the casket of
dude,
deceased. But anyway, death doesn't bother me, even prior to the study of NDE. I think we're going off on a little tangent.
Yeah, we're going off a little bit of a death tangent away from a manifestation and stuff, and that's okay. Well,
But
it's fine to do that because I think it gives perspective about how you might sort of view life and your ability to think positively during really tough times.
I think why we got into that rut is really for a purpose, though. And it makes it so it's not a rut. And that is, I have learned so much in my 71 and a half years about life, from understanding death and where we came from and what we are and who we are. And I don't think I could possibly manifest without that experience. It has made me quite, in my level of thinking, quite successful as somebody at my age. In the last 2 years, and actually less than 2 years, I made a film with Randy. I've got a manager. I landed the best job I've ever had. I'm let's say a paralegal for the government. And
you're on network television for a hot sec there.
I've been doing a lot of Medicare commercials. So, but I'm not where I want to be yet, and Randy knows that.
Hey, it's one foot in front of the other, man.
But the ball is rolling, and I really believe that despite things that are going on in the globe today and the COVID, and I really believe that things will be more successful this year and the following year and the following year. Not just for me, but the people that I mentor, which includes Randy, and many other. Yeah, I have so few friends my age.
Yeah, you do, man. Everyone's that's your friend is like my age and ever so slightly older.
Most of my friends are late 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's that young spirit in you.
I'm the youngest old man you'll know.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true.
Okay. Manifestation.
Right.
I am a firm believer, and now that I've given you a little history, that you can have anything you want. Literally. I mean, literally. And that does not necessarily just mean money or material things. It means relationships. It means education. It means health. It means happiness, particularly happiness. And I think that's one thing that we need to concentrate on as humans, as individuals. I'm going to try to nutshell it as best I can in regards to how this works for you. It takes time, and I'm going to say that on my left hand, and on the right hand, I'm going to say there's no such thing as time. So it takes, I'll use the word a while to accomplish the mentality that you need to be able to believe in the manifestation. The belief is the most important thing. I'm going to try to, the only way that you can learn to truly manifest and make it come true. A lot of people try it, it doesn't work, and so they give up and say it doesn't work. But it has to work because it's law, it's universal law. And unlike man's law, universal law is law. You can't break it. The universe can't break it. You can't break that law. It is the I am. You are the I am. I'm writing a book about myself, a biography, and it's called I Am. Because I don't want to sound blasphemous, but I really believe that, take this lightly, I believe that I am God.
Okay.
But I believe you are too. And I believe our neighbors are. And I believe Putin and Hitler were part of God. What I'm saying is every human being is like a droplet of water in a totality of the ocean. And without all those little teeny droplets of water, there would be no ocean. Here's my concept of the beginning of time, which there is no time. That, do I believe in the Big Bang Theory? Yeah, I do. But I believe what caused the Big Bang was thought, was love thinking. The only thing that existed was what we refer to as God, which is love. And love didn't have anything to love. and love thought, and the thought creates, and it created, let's create human beings and not test them. Don't call them Adam and Eve, but even on other planets other than Earth. And let's create universes. And so the universes, including this one, was created, and we were droplets of water, and over billions of centuries of whatever time isn't, this is where we are at. But all I'm saying is that this room is not real. It's not solid. I mean, science proves that. Science proves that there's a lot of space in the atoms and molecules, and that makes this table is not solid, even though it is solid to us.
Yeah.
And
it's
we
the
are,
whole like space between the particles of the atoms that actually, I think what you're referring to is that space, if you actually look at atoms themselves, they're actually made up of more space than they are things.
and we are mostly water.
Right.
What is the name of the movie that begins with an M, one word, and when he goes into, I can't.
Begins with an M.
Disregard.
Okay. I was gonna try and look it up, but
he goes on a trip and it's not real. And Reeves,
Keanu Reeves, Matrix.
There
you go. Yeah.
And a lot of essence, the Matrix is real to me. Now, if anybody that's listening who wants to tell me, Dana, you're wrong, and here's why, I got my ears are wide open.
Right.
I like being proved wrong.
Yeah, or at least it makes
me grow. But all I'm saying is, everything that you see in this room, in this world, everything, including your clothes that you have on. If the people that are listening, look what you have on, look around you. Everything before it was manifested, and everything was manifested, was one time a thought, or thoughts, plural. The watch on your hand, the computer, the video that you watch, and everything was a thought. And I mean, that's the end result. And what I'm saying is, you are, at this moment in time, and again, there's no such thing as time, you are the totality of all your thoughts, what you believe, what you don't believe. And this is where, if you're wondering, how come that girl won't date me? How come that guy won't look at me? How come that I didn't get the job? And it's because of your thoughts. What I'm saying is, you think positive. Another most important thing, and we'll get this maybe in another time, the most important thing that you can do in this earth is love yourself, because you are the only limitation of the things that you want to manifest and have in your life. You can manifest a castle or a button. It takes the same power, the same amount of energy, the same. I mean, if you really look at the earth and the universe, it's really one big molecule, one big atom, with planets going around the sun and whatever. I mean, I realize this is a very heavy topic.
No, believe me, I know I'm not usually this quiet, but I'm enjoying the whole discussion. So don't take my silence as a bad thing.
Okay,
I'm soaking it all in, because and it's funny, we've kind of had sort of like talks like this in the past, but every time we talk about it again, it's like I'm getting soothed back into it. You know,
and it is soothing, and it is a very positive thing. What I am trying to tell every listener, one, this conversation is for a purpose. Number two, the universe will give you answers, but you are the only limitation that you have. So stop the limitation.
I agree with that. I think a lot of people do, before they even start the race, have already shot themselves in the foot. You know what I mean? They're already thinking, oh, this isn't going to work out. I don't think I can do this. I don't see myself in this position. I don't think this person's going to like me. So before they even step onto the playing field, they're already in self-doubt.
Ditto. Self-doubt, blame, jealousy, all of those negative. It's all about the energy.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part is that you create what you think. And if you're creating anger, jealousy, doubt, particularly doubt, and the biggest one of all is fear. And a lot of people have fear about not passing the test or about medical results. If you think positive, if you think positive, if you think positive, if you think positive, and you believe it, there's many aspects of making what you want manifest to manifest. That is, one, you have to picture it. In other words, you have to make this mini movie. One of these times we're going to talk is going to always be about how this relates to acting. But you have to picture what you want. Is to say, I want a car. You just can't say, I want a car. You got to pick out the color, the year, the make. We'll say an Audi.
Nice black Audi.
Yeah, nice black Audi.
Yeah.
But if you picture it, one, you have a vision. I used to have a vision board. Most of the things came to pass. So I really don't feel that now that I've gotten so good at manifesting that I don't need the vision board anymore. I just use my mind. I'm a good person to say that is Oprah Winfrey. Look what she's done, and she no longer uses a vision board. But I do know that vision boards work, and it's a good step. It's a good way to learn the keys of piano before you become a pianist. So to nutshell this as best I can, you got to vision it. Then you have to meditate on it, do yoga, do whatever you do. The meditation helps you get rid of all the crap, all the fear, and then you have to believe. You have to believe it in love. To me, there's four aspects of that. But minus one of those, it's not going to happen.
So then let's go through each of those, though. I know you keep saying nutshell, but we don't have to nutshell this. This can be long. This is long form. I'm all for it. So one of those things was, so you have to picture it.
You have to picture it. So you have to create it. That's the actual creation part of it.
Right.
And that is, if you say, we'll just say you want money.
Okay.
And if you say, I need money, I want money, you're going to get more. I need money, more. I want money. You won't create the money. You're creating more of the need. So you have to picture what I've done. And my income has dramatically improved over the last 3 or 4 years. I probably shouldn't say this, but there are deposits in my checking account that I can't explain. And they come from the same, I'm being serious, and some of them are not small. I'll leave it at that. But all I'm saying is,
Dana's literally I'm being
sincere. I picture bundles of $100 bills, me putting them in a desk that I have, and the drawers are full, and people come and borrow money. I don't loan money. I just give the money, and I open up the drawer again, and it's still full. So that's, and I believe it. It took a while to believe it. But I can feel it. I can feel the non-fear of not having money. And the comfort of knowing that I don't have to be concerned about how that bill is going to get paid or... enough said. I mean, so step one is you got to picture it.
Picture it and really, really mean it. It's not, and then I think the important part from that was to make sure you're not manifesting more want of it.
That's the most important thing. And a lot of people do that, and I think they're doing the right, and it doesn't work, and they don't believe in the whole process again. I do want to do a disclaimer. This is not me talking on my made up ideas. This comes from experiences of books that I've written by other people and watching movies and documentaries and whatever, and just put them all together. But I think I'm one of the very few people that put the rules and regulations about manifestation and the near-death experiences, and then I'm going to include acting in that, and we'll talk about that later, how this all connects. So one, you got to picture it.
Then it was meditate, right?
You can, like on a vision board, you can put pictures up. What I find works best is instead of doing a picture, do a video, do a mental video of you spending money or giving money away, or like okay, this is a good test. Here I am talking in this podcast about one of the desires that I want. So maybe next time I can tell you it happened. So to kind of prove okay, and I'm going to make it big. I want a cup of coffee right now, but my next podcast is not going to say, "Oh, I had a cup of coffee." I'm going to make it something better.
Okay.
I want to do a movie.
Okay.
I'm talking about a movie where I don't want to be a star. I just want to be the way I envision it. And is this ego? Yeah, it is. But wanting money is egotistic too, because depending what you want to do with the money. But what I'm saying is, I just want to be in a movie. I'm trying to give an example of a major motion picture that becomes not necessarily an Academy Award film, but a film where I have a small part. I don't want one line, two lines. I'm like, 8 or 9 lines.
Right.
And that movie becomes historic, that it's played every holiday season, or it is known, like Gone with the Wind as an example.
Right.
And I'm a guy that not just walks across the camera, but somebody who has a speaking role. It's a sort of an intriguing part in the movie, so that my acting will be historic, when I'm
I
roving.
like that. Like preserves.
I don't necessarily want to be the lead or even a guest. I just want to be part of the process, because number one, I know that one reason I am an actor, because I know I'm supposed to be. That I know. And that is another podcast session. But as an example, I wanted to, a number of years ago, I wanted to have and earn a Tony Award, because all my acting was on stage. And I've been in over 40 plus stage production, most of them non-professional, mostly community theater, but I have been on stage, Long Wharf and Theater Works. And one year when I was working in a big law firm in Hartford, I worked part-time at Harvard Stage. I was a box office manager, just so I can go see the shows for free and whatever. Yeah. And on that 1 year that I worked, Hartford Stage won a Tony Award. And everybody that was involved in it was part of the winning. So I did. I got my Tony was not what I wanted. Right. So that's another aspect. You got to be really careful of what you ask for, because that's what you're going to get. Another dear friend, James Saccone.
Yeah. Yep.
He is, if you want to get into acting, speak to Jim.
Yeah. James,
not Jim, James.
James, yeah. James really good. He's doing some really cool work.
Yep.
And I've always thought that his advice was very just like, no bullshit. I'm not here to like just siphon you for money. I'm going to tell you what's worked for me. And this has been my process. And then like seeing him do work is really cool.
The reason I bring James up is because on his vision board, and we're on the same page, I have 5 college degrees. He has 5 college degrees. Yeah. So in a lot of, and when at 71, I got my first network TV, he cried, because he knew that he had part, or probably most, of me getting there. He was an integral part of me getting a manager.
He's always been rooting for you, man.
Yeah.
Every time you show up, he's like, the great Dana ONeal.
He wanted to be on the Academy Awards. That was his vision.
Yeah.
Notice I didn't say he wanted to have an Academy. He wanted to be on the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before.
Yeah, it was either
he had filmed. Yeah, he had filmed for The Joker.
Yeah, and The Irishman, right?
And The Irishman, yeah. And both of those previews are 1 minute things, or 1/2 minute presentations on the Academy Awards of the 3-hour movie of The Irishman. That one little teeny piece they showed on the Academy was the part that James was in.
It's so crazy.
I
It's
know.
so crazy.
I know.
Because it's such a long movie. It really could have been from any section of the movie.
But he believed it. James has a huge belief in the power of process of manifestation and affirmation. So we got to one part. You got to visualize it.
Yes.
You have to ask for it, which is kind of the same thing. So you know what you want, and then you have to get rid. Here is the hard part. You got to get rid of all the doubt. And when you live in this physical world, which isn't physical, and you all day long, which is no such thing as a day, there's no such thing as time, and you sit on this physical chair that is not physical, it's hard. It's hard to believe that you can be president of the United States, or that you can have the relationship that you want and find that right soulmate, or to be the drummer that you want. I mean, there's literally been people. It's okay not to believe me. It's okay, but there have been, and you can look this up online now that we have this big process of typing in what you want. There's been people who, and I now I understand a great number of whys, which I didn't last year. Now I do. There is people who had an near-death experience, and it's like the droplet of water, you dropping into the ocean because you're out of this shell, this human body, and you get into the ocean and you experience all the experiences of all the other droplets of water, and you think while you're there, oh wow, you're a pianist. And you're a great Mozart pianist. I really would like that. Oh, he just manifested while he was out of his body. And he comes back to his body, even though he's never had a lesson before, as an expert pianist. Now that sounds absurd, I know, but it's true. Look it up.
Like what you're saying is that like someone who couldn't play piano before, has a near-death experience, comes back and they can play piano.
Yes.
Wow.
And if you know anything about NDEs, there were several steps. I'm going to say 10. One, out of body, go through a tunnel. Some people don't. Meet loved ones. And there is something there that always, for those that come back, because most of them don't come back, there is a bridge or a road or something that prevents you. They have the knowledge knowing that this one droplet of water, if they go over the bridge, you're not going to come back. And you usually have relatives or even the vision of Christ or vision of Buddha or the vision of something say, it's not your time. You haven't fulfilled your contract. We'll talk about that later. And you don't want to go back because you're in the totality of love. There's no negativity. There's no hell. There's no negativity. And so that's what we strive every day to manifest what we want, because there you can have anything you want. So we're just trying to get back to what we all came from there. We all made agreements. We're here to fulfill those agreements. We haven't fulfilled them. One of the biggest sins is, if I can use the word sin, is suicide. Because if you do that, you still got to come back. That's another topic in another body and
Interesting. So that's definitely a touchy subject for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that there'll be controversy with me saying that, but again, that's my belief. And I believe that I feel like I'm missing something that I wanted to say. Manifest the. I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
Well, I think you were mentioning how like when you well, first of all, we were talking about manifestation and we were saying you got to picture it, and then we got into how if you get into the totality of love, that it's a lot easier to access the manifestation process, which is why NDEs have these dramatic changes in ability and thought when they come back. And then I think that's about where we were
right at. And you have to do all these steps to be able to make sure that what you want to manifest does manifest. You have to be very specific.
So I think we've covered one of the four
Four?
things you mentioned, right? It was mainly like picturing it, not just like wanting it, but like what does it feel like, playing the mini movie in your head. I think step 2 was meditation, if I'm not correct. If I'm not
we're going to do meditation as number 3.
Okay.
Number 2 is you have to believe it. You have to believe that you can. And again, that one is a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because we live in this realistic, what is not realistic world. Say you have cancer, and statistically, the kind of cancer that you have is normally not curable. And so you pray for it, or you manifest a purified body, and it doesn't happen. It's because you don't believe it. But if you can believe it, if you can get rid of all the fear, again, I'll repeat this one. It's universal law. If you asked that the cancer is cured, and you ask for it, and you believe in it, and you love yourself, and that you have to be in a zone. I'm gonna call it the vortex. You will be cured. Just plain so.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of it. Obviously, coming from a science background, it's really tough to think,
particularly for somebody with a scientific background.
It's tough, and I'm sure there's going to be some people thinking about this, like, oh, I can just wish away my cancer. You know, that's a pretty tough thing to hear.
Right. And I knew on the onset that this conversation was going to be very controversial. Yeah. But on that note, I want to bring up a scientist's name. My brain. Joseph.
I'm trying to look it up at the same time.
Joseph, come on, Dana.
Joseph is. Do you know what type of scientist he is?
He's actually a doctor, a psychiatrist, and I think it will come to me as we
keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, he has many podcasts online that scientifically proves that. I'm not going to be satisfied until I remember his name.
Joseph.
With an S. Joseph.
Joe.
Dispenzer. Joseph Dispenzer.
Okay.
Joseph Dispenzer. In some ways, he's God to me. But
neuroscientist.
Okay.
Right? Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza, yep.
Okay. Yeah, Evergreen State College.
Say some of the books that he has written.
Let me see. The Doctor Who Fooled the World, Energy Law and Transactions.
The one, his big book was.
Hold up. I'm gonna look it up. Books.
How to Become Supernatural. I think it's.
Oh yeah,
becoming supernatural.
Becoming supernatural.
If anybody questions what I'm saying today, I advise them to at least look the book up online and see what a scientist.
Yes. Okay. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Becoming Supernatural, Placebo. Those other books were unrelated. Okay. Very cool.
I mean, there's the concept of the word. Say the word again. Placebo.
Placebo. Oh yeah. The placebo concept is crazy.
I mean, right. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
That's essentially,
even though it's not plausible that not having this, you have the sugar pill, he has the pill that works. If you believe that you got the pill, it's going to cure you. So it's belief.
Yeah.
If you are the placebo, just your belief power in the process that I think he brought up the topic. Maybe it was another writer. This guy was always a failure in high school. Always a failure. And he failed most of his grades, and he's really down, and he had to take an SAT. Didn't want to. But he took the SAT, well, knowing that he was going to fail and get a low grade. And when he got his test back, he almost aced it. What? This is not possible. He didn't get 100%, but he was to the point of like being a genius.
Yeah.
And it changed his aspect of his belief power about himself and what he could do and what he could learn, and became a very successful doctor.
Mm.
And years and years and years later, he found out that his test result wasn't his. He did fail.
Oh, he did?
But because he was a placebo, because he believed, it changed his life. And he was able to learn, and it was able to get good grades, and because of his belief power. I mean, that's, and I think I've told you this story before about the twin boys in the barn.
Oh, save for the listeners though. They haven't heard it.
Okay. There's these two little boys, probably 5 years old. We'll say 5 years old. They're in a barn. It's divided in half. Both sides are exactly the same. They're twin boys. They're identical. And it's cold and it's full of horse shit. And they're sitting in it in a diaper. And one of them's crying. He says, it's cold. It's wet. It stinks. Life is bad. Get me out of here. Help.
Yeah.
And his brother is digging in the manure and says, I know there's a pony in here somewhere. So it's just, it makes a difference on your aspect of life and what you believe and what you hope for and what you think is possible.
Wait, hold up, pause. So you said, how does that story go again? There's two boys, they're in a barn.
The barn is divided in half. There's
Okay.
a wall between the two of them.
Okay.
And it's full of horse shit.
Okay.
And one little boy is sitting in the horse shit and he's crying because it stinks and it's wet, it's cold, it's terrible. Yeah. But his brother, on the other side, is digging because he smells the horse shit. He sees I know there's a pony in here somewhere. He wants a pony.
Okay.
I guess I missed something. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I was just, for whatever reason, I was almost like waiting for a punchline. I guess that's the other thing too, is you tell so many jokes.
I tell a lot of jokes. Yeah.
I was almost waiting for a punchline.
I tell a lot of jokes because I need the sense of humor. Because humor is an important aspect of it too.
Right.
If you see the movie The Secret, there's a woman who has cancer, and she's supposed to stay positive. She believes in the process, so she watches comic movies with her husband, and it helps stay positive.
Right.
So I've always been a comedian. Sometimes my jokes are a little, but anyway,
they're good though.
I hope I'm not going on a tangent, but on the whole concept, I really believe that you, who I am talking to out there,
You can pull the mic a little closer if you could.
You can have your dreams come true, and the only dreams that don't come true is because you don't believe that they're dreamable or plausible or can happen. So you can increase your dollar amount in your bank if you want to be a millionaire. But my concept, why not be a billionaire?
Right.
Because it takes this amount of energy, amount of belief. Maybe not as much of a belief, but I really believe, and this has been proven to me in my own life and on family members and on a number of people that I've read about, and because I'm online studying this on a daily basis,
Right.
And I believe that the more what I'm about to say is really a Dana thing and not something that I've learned through other people's experiences, and I guess I'm saying this because I want to tell you about my growth. I know that in NDEs, and maybe this is what I forgot before, there are certain steps. One is out of body, go through the tunnel, meeting relatives and seeing the bridge. But there is also one of the steps is a life review. Those who have had the NDE experience and come back to tell about it, describe it more as a movie, the movie that you're in. And here's the difference. It's your entire, again, there's no such thing as time. If you have your NDE at the age of 5 or 50 or 90, that life review includes that totality. So it doesn't, if you're 90, it's not going to take 90 years to see your life review for every moment that you've lived. But everybody says the purpose is to show you what you've done wrong. and what you've done right.
Mm.
Because when you are in this movie, you're not just a droplet of water, you're all the droplets of. And what I'm saying is, if there was a time when Randy and I were filming and we were really ecstatic about something that happened in a scene, or feel really bad about something that happened. I can't think of anything bad that you and I.
Yeah.
But when you're having this, what they refer to as a life review, Randy, will feel what you felt then, and also what I felt. You'll know through the interconnection, because we don't have the bodies, how I felt. And so
Perspective.
and Randy can say to himself, I made Dana feel that way. Oh, I made Dana feel that ecstatic about making the movie. Which to me, and it was sort of an aha moment, even this year, and this is only February, that's really not the purpose. In some ways, it doesn't really have a purpose. It's just us not reminiscing, but us understanding in the past, and again, there's no such thing as time, living on the earth, how we affected ourselves and others, and what if I had lived knowing that I was just a droplet of water in the totality, I would have been able to feel what I'm feeling now in this review. And again, it's not a review. It's just a collection of being I'm going to call it the other side. Maybe the best thing is the other dimension. Knowing what my earth experience was, that I finished what I was supposed to finish.
Right.
And now I can move forward in this new. It's not a new realm. It's home. It's
right.
When you have that experience, you will remember. Oh yeah, and a lot of times the souls that you have on earth, your mom, dad, whatever, you worked on the plan together before you ever went. A lot of people, I didn't ask to be born. Yeah, you did. I didn't ask you to be my mom. Yeah, you did. You don't know it. You don't know it down here, but you did.
Interesting.
And
when and I don't mean to cut you off if you were about to
go ahead.
add with that, but you've mentioned a few times about how there's no such thing as time. Now, I can imagine that someone on the opposite end of this microphone is, at work listening or mowing the grass or something. And they're like, what do you mean there's no time? I have to put in 8 hours of work every day, and it takes a certain amount of time to do this and all of that. So how do you respond to something like that?
I will not contradict myself, but I will say, okay, there is such thing as time here because man made it. And yes, we have a clock, and yes, we have to get to work. Yes.
Right.
But here is the difference to understanding the totality. Like I said, you can see your 90 years of experiences in what we might consider a moment. But here's the difference, and here's why it's such an important topic. To be able to manifest, you have to be in the now. And Eckhart Tolle has written a book called The Power of Now. And 2 books that I read a long time ago, The 4 Agreements and The Power of Now, and A New Earth, also by Eckhart Tolle. I got some things out of that, very important things. But this year, I reread The 4 Agreements and The Power of Now, and actually A New Earth. And I got so much more out of it because I know more now. I've experienced more now. My point is, when you get those books and you read them, it's difficult reading until you understand the whole concept of it. I took accounting 50 years ago, and now I'm taking accounting again, and multiple accounting courses for a master's degree at Central. And I'm finding it easy. Oh that's what I was supposed to know 50 years ago. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
But my point is, here's the reason why, and I'll try not to get off on a tangent. You have to be in the now, because if you're in the past, you're reminiscing on something that, one, you can't change, And it's usually something negative.
Mm.
Or you're in the future. You have to be able to manifest and get some things that you want. You have to be in the now. That's maybe hard to conceive because you can't be in any other time zone other than now. And if there's only now, and there is only now.
Mm.
When this is filmed, it happened in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you have to be in the now if you meditate, you have to be in the now. If you are doing vision boards and thinking about what you want, it has to be in the now. And that's why it's important to understand that there's no such thing as true time. That's not, I mean, yes, we did create it, but everything is in the now.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if you have, I'm going to try to explain this. Say you're in a car accident and you have a near-death experience. You get out of your body and you just hit the other car just hit you. And you can be on the other side, in the other dimension, and have conversations with relatives and have meetings and go through the city of gold and all these things and come back into your body. And the glass is just now settling.
Mm.
I hope that explains something more than it did confusion.
Right. I think so. It kind of sounds like what you're saying is like humans have a concept of time that we've created around, a clock-based, sun-based system, but that's all a concept in and of itself, and that time is all relative towards whatever is happening, which is why when people have these near-death experiences, they might experience what would be 90 or 40 years of time in a moment. And it's like time doesn't exist really, because if it did, there would be no way to experience all of that stuff within, a flash of a second, or what we would call a second, right?
What we might call heaven, what we might call the other side.
Mm.
We may come to Earth and live 87 years and go back. No time has lapsed. It was just an experience. I know that I'm confusing people. I know that.
You do it in such a soothing way, though.
But if you knew what I know, you should never, ever fear death.
Mm.
You should never limit yourself. You should if you want to live the best life that you can and have the things that you want. What I can say is stay in the now. When you wake up in the morning, be thankful for the breath that you take. Don't take things for granted. Give thanks for your job. Give thanks for the things that you think might be negative.
Mm.
Give thanks that you have food on the table. I can tell you right now, and as we put this podcast to sleep and put it on the shelf, we have so much to be thankful in this now, right now, because a week from now, a month from now, before the end of 2022, we're going to look back and say, I wish I had given thanks for that, because we're more than likely headed for a war. And it's not going to, I lived through the Vietnam War.
Mm.
I was in the military and I did not, people say, thanks for your service. I was in the Air Force. I was in the Coast Guard. I was in the Navy. I was in for 22 years. I never saw one bullet aimed at me.
Mm.
I was in Europe. I spent some time on Air Force One. I was in the legal department. I was at the Coast Guard Academy. I never saw, I feel guilty a lot of people saying, thank you for your service. Was I literally in the military? Yeah. But to me, the real heroes are at the VA cemeteries right now. The real the people that should be thanked are the people that have PTSD in their home and suffering from the experiences they had.
Mm.
Um, we have right now, in the now, we have a lot to be thankful.
Yeah.
And then enough said on that. I'm not saying that we're entering into catastrophe. I don't want people to think that.
Yeah.
But
The only reason why I let out a was because I didn't expect you to take it there. But I know what you mean, because believe me, every day I wake up, I'm definitely thankful that I'm not living in a place that's being bombed. You know?
yeah, I can't imagine being in the Ukraine
Oh, I can't either.
right now, or being a father or a daughter here in America and the family being over there and just not knowing.
I know.
So
Can only imagine what that's like to go through, man. That's absolutely crazy. Back to manifestation, though, because we still got all these steps to
we
cover.
do?
Yeah,
We do?
we still,
Okay,
we still.
now you're
'cause-
going to have to help me remember. So.
Yeah, I got you. So far we've covered the mind part of it. So like imagining it, believing it,
Creating the vision.
yeah, creating the vision, and then number 2 is believing it. So that's you can say, for example, I want love, I want love, I want love, I want love every single day. But if you don't believe that you're capable,
you're going to
of
end
being
up with
loved,
wanting more love.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so the believing part of it is just as important as creating the vision of what it actually is, believing that you are. And then all of that kind of stems from being able to love yourself, right?
Yep.
Because you have to have internal components for understanding who you are and all that before you can just be like, all right, give me everything. So, and then we still haven't covered the meditation part of it, which I think is pretty key. Because you said it was one of the 4, right? So
and we actually created another one, which we'd already discussed, and that was have to be the now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's cover the manifestation one then.
Or the meditation.
The meditation one. In some instances, we have already discussed it, but you should meditate before you go to bed and first thing in the morning and get into the zone. The meditation is going to help get rid of all the fears and get rid of the crap so that you can concentrate on the actual vision of what you want. And it is also going to help you stay in the now. The only thing, a lot of people say, why do you meditate? I can't concentrate. How do you meditate? How do you meditate? And that is try not to think of anything. It's like, but pretend that your mind is a computer and there's always these advertisements keep popping up. They say, don't think about pink elephants, and you think about pink elephants.
Right.
It's one of those things that is so easy, it's hard. So all you do is you crash the computer. If you need drums or any kind of meditative music, put it that way, to help you stay in the zone. You need to have your body relax. You need your chakras in line. You need to be in a comfortable place. In some ways, leave the earth. You can sit in a chair, be in a yoga position. You can, as with my body weight, I'm always in a chair. So you have to delete all the negative thoughts, all the processes, and then concentrate on what you really want. Bring those created visions to your mind and do it for at least, this is probably terrible. People are going to say, yeah, I thought so. Do it for about 16 to 17 seconds or seconds that doesn't exist. And really concentrate on what you want. But here's the most important part. Well, they're all important. Once you ask the universe, whatever it is you want, in a meditation zone, and you love yourself, and you're in the now, as hard as it is, you have to let it go. As an example, I'll use an audition. for
Mhm.
us to talk about.
Yeah.
You have a very, very important addition. It's going to change your acting career if you get this part. And you study the lines and you know it's not about the lines, and you try to create the character, and you create the character, and you do the very best that you can. You put a lot of effort in it. And the audition is due tomorrow. And you get it done tonight. And you give it to the casting director through your manager, agent. And then you leave it alone. And then you leave it alone. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't call me today. How come? Negative thought. Maybe I could have done it better. Maybe I should have done it this way. Negative thought. And you don't leave it alone unless you create negativity and they don't call you. But if you do the best that you can, or even close to the best that you can, and you leave it alone and you manifest on it and you keep it in the zone and in the vortex and you keep it there and you do all of those right, it has to happen.
So the meditation process is allowing yourself to, I think one of the better parts that you said there was leave the earth, which is like
leave this realm or
Yeah,
this
like-
realm.
yeah, right.
Forget
It's like-
that you're in a chair. Forget that you are in a room on Saturday,
Right.
and just not necessarily be on the other side, but be on the and close your eyes and get rid of what you see. Wear a mask over your eyes if you have to.
Right.
All of these steps are so easy. It's difficult.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's easy to do, but it's just as easy not to do. And that's what makes it hard.
Yep.
And
I like that.
yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
You're welcome. So, well, and it truly is, because like I find myself having times where I'm very consistent with this. When before bed, I'll sit there and I will close my eyes and I will rid myself of, all right, tomorrow I have to do this project. I have to get to work. I have to go to the gym. I have to, and then it's like, and then I'll start getting in the zone. And then I'm like, oh crap, is it getting too late? No. We got to get, and it's like, it's these little things. You'll have little like reality attacks that'll try and come in and pry you away from this total focusing meditation process. And it's legitimately challenging to not, because I think, especially these days, we're so overwhelmed with distraction and entertainment and whatnot that it's almost a crazy thought to think, oh, just sit there and relieve yourself of all of that and just focus on the now.
That's what it is.
And let me see. There was number.
Isn't that easy?
Yeah, isn't that easy?
I think the only step that we have not covered, I think, is loving yourself.
Yes, that's step 4.
Okay, and
we've briefly touched on it. Like we scratched the surface.
But I mean, is it more important? I don't think any of these are more important than the other. It's all or none. So let's touch on that. And we recently talked about this at the men's group. But anyway,
loving yourself.
You have to love yourself. You have to love yourself enough. And for all those people out there that are looking for the right girl, the right guy, the right relationship, this is the rule of the law of manifestation. If you don't love yourself, they can't. They can't. It's impossible. So, here is, this is another reason why you have to stay in the now. Because if you think of things in the past, it's usually something negative or something ecstatic, and you want to relive that wonderful aspect in the history.
And then that makes the present negative.
That makes exactly. Yeah. And then as far as the future, it's okay to think about the future, but don't live in the future.
Right.
But to be able to have the perfect or close to perfect future, you have to create it in the now. So loving yourself is vital and crucial, because you have to believe that what you are asking for, you deserve. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't, because of having lived on earth a number of years and they have done some negative things. maybe with some people, some really bad things. But you have to forgive yourself. You have to know that you are deserving. And how do you know that you're deserving of what you want? Because you're a human being. That's why.
Mm,
There's no law that says you're not. It's always a plausibility of everybody that's living in there to have what they want,
mm,
particularly if it's love, particularly if it's wealth, particularly if it's happiness.
right.
You are so deserving, but you have to believe that,
Yeah.
and some people don't.
I think sometimes too, because you mentioned that some people will think that maybe it's because they did something bad that they don't deserve something good now. But I think also sometimes things happen to people. Like, maybe they got in a relationship and they really trusted a person and that person went out and cheated on them, or that person abused them. And so maybe they get out of that, hopefully, but then on the other side of it, now their psyche is messed up, thinking they don't deserve anything, or
Mhm.
they're not worthy of it because of this shadow that lingers over them. So how do you suggest someone to cope with that?
The reason how you can cope with that is staying in the now, and this is what I mean by that. Um, we play a lot of games in this life. We tell a lot of lies.
Mm,
We even put colors on them. This is a white lie. This one's okay. It's still a lie. Um, how are you today? Oh, I'm fine. This is one of the worst days of your life.
mm,
Why did you say you were fine? Because it's part of nature. It's part,
yeah.
you know,
Social
it's a
pressures
social
of
thing.
you know.
So because we live on earth and because we want things, particularly relationships, particularly love, we'll do everything that we can to make what we want reality, even if it's not reality.
Mm,
We People lie to us and we believe it. But the worst lies that you believe are the ones that you tell yourself.
mm,
And that's why you don't love yourself to a totality. Um, 50 plus marriages end up in divorce. Why? Because they tell these lies. Whenever they find the right man or the right woman in the relationship, it has to work. The sex is fantastic. The relationship is really super. So I'm going to be able to keep this relationship alive in the way I want it to be. I have to adjust
mm,
because I'm not perfect.
mm,
So this woman, I want this woman. I don't necessarily want to marry. I just want this relationship. It's fantastic. I love what I consider is love. Um, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. Leave it at that. Um, if this woman that I love wants me to be more masculine, I'm going to be as more masculine as I can be.
mm,
But I'm not masculine. So some of that stuff that I can't be that she wants me to be, I'm gonna lie about.
mm,
Oh, I used to be on the basketball winning team. I play football. Yeah, I play football. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can lift 1,000 pounds.
mm,
Um, but you tell her these little lies and you get married or you have a longevity in your relationship. And then all of a sudden, as time progresses, no such thing as time, uh, she learns that some of those things that you said is not true. And that
mm,
negatively affects the relationship and it ends. But in some ways, I feel, and it doesn't matter how I feel, that if you hadn't told those lies, particularly to yourself,
mm,
the relationship still may be going on positively. But you learned the true you. And I can say not just about Randy, but to everybody, you are a droplet of water of pure love. And if everybody ever knew that, and you just stop telling the lies to yourself and to other people, then you can love yourself more.
mm,
But you know the lies that you've told, the made up stories, the egos. And that's what we do as actors is we decipher what the character is and what kind of lies they
Yeah.
say. And when we come up with ways of acting about how, and acting is not acting or reacting, which back in my day, that's what it was.
Yeah.
To be an actor, you can't act. You know that, I know that. It
Mhm.
has to be real, and it can't be about the lines. But if you notice in acting, it's about what's inside, what's from the heart.
Mm.
And that's those little true lies and white lies and truths that are inside that we have to bring out to show that the character is real. And that's what we have to study is how human behavior
Mm.
of being a real droplet of water in bucket of mud.
Mm.
And that is so to love yourself to the level of where you need to be to manifest is to, one, forgive yourself. Try to the best of your ability to stop saying lies. Create the character of the real human being. When you discover who you really are and what your real talents are and what makes you tick, is a turn on for that girl.
Mm.
You will realize as you learn to love yourself more and more and more that other people can too.
Mm.
That you don't need to have that hairstyle or that thin of a waistline or that lipstick or that makeup or that education or that car or that or that or that or that. You are a human being already of pure love. And when you show that pure love and your understanding, when you can control your temper, when you can control being negative, because you control your feelings, the thoughts about the world, about other people, and about yourself, and truly the purity of it, you can reach Nirvana. You can, and it's not something you do tomorrow or today.
Right.
It's lifelong. But I hope I made some kind of
No,
understanding.
you did because there's this thought of like, oh, like I just gotta love myself. All right, loving myself right now. I really, really love myself. And then there's like we sort of bridge into that statement can kind of mean arrogance, right? But it's not what you're saying at all.
No.
What we're saying is like an acceptance of who you are, a constant, maybe betterment, being acknowledging who you are as a human being and striving to be better, sure. But then people will feel how genuine you are because of this is you're not playing a character. You're not like in reality, right? Like outside of acting, you're not playing a character. You're being yourself. And that sort of energy is something that people can feel. Like people will literally say like, "Oh, you have a good vibe. Like you give off good energy." And a lot of that good energy is just loving the ability to love yourself and not be putting on something that you're not.
Putting on an air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Love is,
Also, bring the mic a little closer. I don't know how you keep doing it. You keep moving it everywhere.
how's that?
That's a lot better. Hey, there he is.
In some ways, I think love is truth.
Mm.
And the more truthful you are, I think of Tuesday. That's the name of the movie that Randy and I did. And the feelings and emotions and how people get engaged in a TV show or a movie is that they relate to the characters.
Mm.
And a lot of them is, I want to be like that guy, or I don't want to be like that guy.
Mm.
And we're learning either way about life because they are the way that the script is written, the way the dialogue says, and the interpretation of the actor and the directing of the director and the significance of the writer. All of those pieces of art put together created this experience. And if you can dig deep in that as an observer, you learned about their truth, about their love. And I mean, how many actors and actresses you know that people fall in love with?
Yeah.
They want to be, they're not realizing that they're not seeing the true person.
Yeah, right,
They're
right.
seeing a character that they're playing. But me as a needing father who is losing my dementia, and you knowing that I'm a good dad and that you are wanting to help me, and then not knowing how is revealed in the last scene of our movie where I come back per se.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh my God, this is what I've missed. But he was able to, at the end of the movie, to grasp how to communicate with me. And the cookies are still there. And that was the message that Eric wrote. That is what the movie is about. That's why it's being successful today. I think one of the most important things about the movie, and this is people who have not seen it yet, is Randy has a lead in the movie. It's a short film. And he has not a lot of lines. But the essence of how he loves himself, doesn't love himself, to his wife, and to his family, and to his dad, is all revealed on his internalness during the entire movie. And that's really what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
In the movie, his character is trying to love himself enough so his wife can love him. But he feels he doesn't love his dad enough because he can't do what dad needs. So I just told you the script.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's a short film.
That was a good advertisement, I think.
Yeah,
it was a good advertisement.
I think it's great. Yeah. It made me feel good.
And sometimes, a lot of times you think you're lying. I mean, you think you're telling the truth through your lie. They can see right straight through.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest example I can think of, and this came up at the university. I'm a mentor for the men's group at Central Connecticut State University. One of my biggest heroes is every man or every woman that has come out of the closet. Because they know opening up that closet door and saying that you're gay or bisexual or whatever is permanent. Once it's out there and you've told the truth, but all that hiding, that darkness of that closet, that not being even a part of the earth and or the living experience that you're supposed to be living is true, and you're crying inside, and it's painful. And as painful as it is to open up the door, is truth.
Right.
To me, every person that has opened up the door is someone who has learned how to love themselves.
Oh, damn. That's powerful.
And so let it be.
Yeah,
let it be. Or someone who I could confess a big secret they've had all their life. It doesn't have to be homosexuality, but just releasing the white lies and the black lies and the gray lies and the blue lies, and just putting it in this earth where there's no such thing as time, in the now, saying, this is the real mate. I'm trying, names are terrible.
There's someone
she sings as a female singer from the 60s, and she sings True Colors.
Okay. I can look that up. True Colors song. 60s.
Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, hey, you beat me to it.
Cyndi Lauper.
I just found it.
Yeah,
Cyndi Lauper.
I went to one of her concerts. But anyway, it's about her gay friends, and they tell her their true colors. I think that's why, I might be wrong, but it's why the rainbow is because all the colors.
Right.
And
I think you're right about that.
And it's just, let us not feel guilty about being us.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said.
I think that's good.
Enough said, yeah.
And I think, I think we kind of covered all the bases here for the importance of of how to approach manifestation for an individual?
It was improv for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I covered things, and I hope I did create some controversy because it gives you something to talk about. So let Randy know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Let Randy
definitely. Well, Dana, is there anything else you wanted to say real quick before we head off?
Just to Renee, you can have anything you want. You can. I know that because I've experienced it. And I'm creating more for myself. But I believe with all my heart everything I said is true. And then it can work for you.
Awesome. And with that, we will call it. Thanks so much for coming on, Dana. It was
Thank
wonderful.
you for having me. Yeah.
All right. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Bone Apple Tea. If you like the show, please give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell your friends about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's Bone Apple Tea, BoneAppleTeav on Instagram. Thanks so much.